The first thing Harrison Locke noticed about the planet called Harmony was that it hummed. Not in a poetic way. Not in a metaphor. It hummed for real. The moment his small transport shuttle entered the planet's atmosphere, a low vibration spread through the ship's metal frame. It traveled through the seat, through Harrison's boots, and straight into his spine. The feeling settled behind his ribs like something alive. Harrison froze in the middle of taking a sip of tea. He slowly lowered the cup. The humming did not stop. He glanced around the cabin, waiting for someone else to react. Surely the others heard it too. Across from him sat two alien attendants. They were tall and slender with pale smooth skin and long ears that curved gently backward like elegant antennae. They looked completely calm. One of them slowly blinked and adjusted a thin crystal bracelet on their wrist. No one seemed worried. That meant this was normal. Which was not comforting. Harrison leaned forward and placed his hand against the cool metal wall of the shuttle. The vibration deepened. It felt almost like the ship noticed him touching it. He quickly pulled his hand away. He hesitated before speaking. "Is that normal?" The closer attendant turned their head slowly. Their reflective eyes studied him. "Yes," they said calmly. "Harmony is resonating." Harrison nodded as if that explained everything. "Good," he said. "Yes. Good. You want your planet to do that." He had absolutely no idea if that was true. The attendant simply looked forward again. Harrison leaned back in his seat and tried to appear like a man who regularly visited humming planets. Inside, he made a mental promise never to complain about Earth again. Earth did not hum. Earth occasionally rained on you at inconvenient moments. But at least it did so quietly. Outside the shuttle window, the planet slowly came into view. Harmony did not look like any world Harrison had ever seen. There were no giant cities filled with metal towers. Instead, massive crystal formations rose from the surface like frozen waves in an ocean. Tall structures twisted upward into the violet sky. Light flowed through them like glowing veins. Even from orbit, Harrison could see pulses of energy traveling through the structures. It looked less like a city and more like living music frozen into shape. Harrison adjusted the collar of his formal coat. It was the best coat he owned. Back on Earth it had impressed 3 people. 2 of them were the tailors who made it. The third was a salesman trying to sell him another one. Here, surrounded by alien crystal towers and a humming planet, the coat suddenly felt like wearing a napkin to a royal dinner. The shuttle descended toward the capital. The humming grew stronger. Harrison suddenly noticed something strange. His breathing had started matching the rhythm of the planet. He inhaled. The hum deepened. He exhaled. The sound softened. "That's not unsettling at all," he muttered. One attendant's ear twitched slightly. Harrison immediately stopped muttering. The capital city appeared beneath them. Harrison forgot how to breathe. The city was not built. It was grown. Massive crystal structures curved and branched like the inside of a giant living organism. Bridges stretched between towering formations. Soft light moved through the structures in slow waves. It looked like frozen music. The shuttle landed silently on a crystal platform. The humming shifted again. This time it felt softer. Closer. As if the planet had leaned forward to listen. The hatch opened. Cool shimmering air flowed inside. Harrison stepped out. The moment his foot touched the surface of Harmony, the vibration changed. It focused directly on him. For one strange moment, Harrison had the ridiculous feeling that the entire planet knew he had arrived. He resisted the urge to apologize. Several tall figures waited near the landing platform. One of them approached him. "Composer Harrison Locke," the figure said calmly. Harrison cleared his throat. "Yes. My voice does that sometimes when I travel," he added quickly. The alien inclined their head slightly. "I'm Coordinator Salathai. You have been expected." Expected. The word felt heavy. Harrison nodded carefully. "I hope I didn't keep the planet waiting." Salathai studied him. Their long ear twitched slightly. Not excessively. Harrison decided that was probably alien humor. They walked into the capital together. The crystal corridors glowed softly with flowing blue light. Every step Harrison took produced a faint musical tone under his boots. Salathai walked silently. Harrison tried stepping again. Another note rang from the floor. He stopped. Salathai stopped. Is something incorrect? They asked. Harrison hesitated. The floor appears to be musically judging me. Salathai considered this. It is observing you, they said. That is somehow worse, Harrison replied. They continued walking deeper into the palace. The walls were made of layered crystal that pulsed with faint energy. Light flowed through them like thoughts moving through a brain. Harrison suddenly realized something. Is the building alive? He asked. Salathai replied calmly. It adapts to cognitive and environmental stimuli. Harrison stared at the walls. So if I think something embarrassing, the building knows. Yes. Harrison immediately tried to stop thinking. Unfortunately, his brain chose that moment to remember the time he waved back at someone who wasn't waving at him. The wall beside him emitted a soft, sympathetic tone. Harrison glared at it. Eventually they entered a large chamber. At the center stood an instrument unlike anything Harrison had ever seen. It rose from the floor in a smooth, curved arc of crystal. No strings. No keys. No visible controls. What is that? Harrison asked. A harmonic convergence instrument, Salathai replied. How does it work? It responds to you. Harrison waited for the rest of the explanation. There was none. That's it. Yes. Harrison slowly walked around the instrument. What happens if it doesn't like me? It will still function, Salathai said. Harrison did not find that comforting. He slowly placed his hand on the surface. Immediately a tone filled the room. It did not come from any specific direction. It came from everywhere. The sound was warm and clear. Harrison froze. He hadn't played anything. The instrument was responding to him. Reading him. Translating him. He pulled his hand away. The sound faded. That, Harrison said slowly, is intimidating. Salathai nodded. It is honest. Harrison looked at the instrument again. This was not something he could control with technique alone. It required something far more dangerous. Honesty. He took a deep breath. Well, he said quietly. Let's try not to embarrass ourselves. Far away, deep inside the palace, something ancient paused and listened. For the first time in centuries. Harmony was curious. When the summons finally came, Harrison nearly jumped out of his skin. Coordinator Salathai appeared at the doorway without making a sound. You do that on purpose, Harrison said, holding his chest. I entered through the door, Salathai replied. I'm not questioning the legality, Harrison said. I'm questioning the emotional damage. Salathai considered this. I will attempt to enter with less emotional impact next time. Harrison nodded seriously. My heart appreciates that. Salathai gestured toward the corridor. It is time. Harrison suddenly forgot how breathing worked. Time, he repeated weakly. Yes. He looked once more at the strange instrument glowing quietly in the chamber. Does it know? He asked. It is aware of increased harmonic expectation, Salathai replied. That is the most polite way anyone has ever described stage fright, Harrison said. They walked through long glowing corridors until they reached enormous crystal doors. Salathai stopped. This is the harmonic court. The doors slowly unfolded. Harrison's heart nearly stopped. Thousands of alien figures stood in silence inside the massive chamber. Their long ears angled toward the center platform. Toward him. Harrison stepped onto the platform. The convergence instrument glowed softly. Salathai leaned closer. Yes, they said calmly. They are judging you. Good, Harrison whispered. I prefer honesty. Then Salathai stepped away. Harrison stood alone. Thousands of alien eyes watched him. His hands trembled slightly as he placed them on the instrument. The first note came from his hesitation. A soft, fragile tone echoed through the chamber. Harrison froze. The note sounded nervous. But it also sounded real. He exhaled slowly. Well, he whispered. This is happening. His fingers moved again. A second note joined the first. Then another. The melody began carefully. Not dramatic. Not impressive. Just honest. The instrument responded instantly. Harmony itself began to amplify the music. The crystal walls glowed softly. Light flowed through the palace. The entire city was listening. Harrison slowly relaxed. His fear faded as the music grew stronger. He stopped trying to control every sound. He simply played. The melody deepened. Warmth entered the music. Small human warmth. The kind found in quiet conversations and unexpected kindness. The instrument expanded the emotion into something beautiful. The palace glowed brighter. Far away in a hidden observation chamber, Empress Glacis listened. For 412 years she had ruled in silence. Harmony had become stable, predictable, quiet, safe. But now the palace was changing. The music coming from the human was doing something impossible. It was waking the planet. Harrison finally opened his eyes. The court remained silent. But the silence had changed. They were not judging him anymore. They were listening. He smiled faintly. "Good," he whispered. "We're still alive." The music slowly softened. He allowed the final note to fade naturally. Silence returned. Real silence. Harrison sat there breathing slowly. Then he felt something change beside him. He turned. And froze. She stood there. Empress Glacis. The most powerful being in the empire. She was taller than he expected. Elegant. Perfectly still. Her presence carried the quiet strength of someone who had survived centuries. Harrison had absolutely no idea what the correct protocol was. So he chose honesty. "Hello," he said. The entire court held its breath. The Empress studied him. Then she did something no one expected. She sat beside him. Not on a throne. Not far away. Beside him. The court erupted into silent shock. Empress Glacis placed her hand gently over his. The convergence instrument responded instantly. A soft shared tone filled the chamber. Not his music. Not hers. Theirs. Harrison swallowed carefully. "I hope that means I didn't offend anyone." For the first time in centuries. The Empress spoke. "You did not." Harrison relaxed slightly. "Excellent," he said. "That was my primary objective." She did not remove her hand. "The palace has not resonated like this in centuries," she said. Harrison glanced around. "I wish I could take credit," he said. "But I think the architecture helped." She studied him quietly. "You listened," she said. Harrison shrugged slightly. "That's usually recommended when performing music." Something shifted in her expression. Not quite a smile. But close. "You did not attempt to control it," she said. Harrison thought for a moment. "I've learned something," he replied. "Most important things happen when you stop trying to force them." The palace glowed softly around them. For the first time in centuries, harmony was alive with music. The Empress looked at him again. "You are not what I expected." Harrison smiled. "That makes two of us." Then he asked quietly, "Why did you come?" She was silent for a moment. Then she answered. For the first time in a very long time. Harmony was not alone. Harrison looked at their hands resting together on the instrument. He had arrived as a visitor. A performer. A stranger. But somehow his music had done something greater. It had reminded an ancient empire that silence was not the only way to survive. He smiled softly. "Well," Harrison said, "I suppose this trip was worth it." The convergence instrument answered with a warm, steady tone. And far across the crystal world of harmony, the planet hummed with life again.